What is going on, everybody? I am back today to give you another list of movies, and I'm really excited to do my best and worst of 2023. But there are still a lot of movies I haven't got a chance to see yet, like Killers of the Flower Moon, Priscilla, Poor Things, The Boy and the Heron. I can go on. There's at least like 6 or 7 movies that I still really want to watch before I make that list. And so, in the meantime, I thought it would be fun to make some lists that were a little bit more unique than just best and the worst. Like recently, I made a list of some movies that were just big disappointments, movies that I had high expectations for that really kind of disappointed me when I watched them. And today, I thought it would be fun to do the opposite and talk about some movies that I had absolutely no expectations for that really took me by surprise. And I just want to talk about some of those movies today, give you some recommendations, possibly some movies that you wouldn't have thought to watch. And I just think it's fun to, go into a movie with like virtually no expectations at all, or something you're like, oh, I'm not really excited for this, or oh, I don't know that much about it, and to be really blown away. And those are the movies I'm going to be talking about today. So first up is going to be the film Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I can safely say I had zero expectations for this. Number one, it's based off of a work of literature. Normally, adaptations from books to films are horrible, especially ones that are really beloved. We don't normally get a whole lot of quality in that. And this movie was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I think the performances in it are absolutely incredible. I think it really encapsulates that uncomfortable period of time in life, being a young teenager and just navigating the world, understanding your body, understanding puberty, growing up, relationships with your parents. There's all these really intricate details that are explored, and I think they're done so with a lot of nuance and a lot of beauty. And I was really just kind of enamored from the very first shot of this film, and I thought that it was absolutely beautiful. And if you haven't got a chance to watch Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret yet, please do. It's fantastic. Up next is the romantic comedy film Rye Lane. I did not know anything about this movie before I went in to watch it. I hadn't seen a trailer. I just clicked on the film on Hulu, read a little bit of a description, and this was one of my favorite romantic comedies of the entire year. I think the two lead characters have absolutely incredible chemistry. There's an amazing attention to detail in the cinematography that really didn't necessarily need to be there, but it made the film so much more immersive and engaging. There's almost like a Wes Anderson-esque quality to this movie in the way that it's shot as well. There's these really fun like sequences that kind of break reality, where they're like talking to each other amidst like a dream sequence, or like hypothesizing things that are happening. And I really liked that. It added a very quirky and unique charm to the movie that I didn't really expect. And yeah, I had a smile on my face the entire time I watched this movie, and I've been really looking forward to revisiting it since I watched it the first time. Next is going to be the film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. As someone who loved the Ninja Turtles when I was growing up, I feel like there has been some horrible iterations of the Ninja Turtles over the past several years. And honestly, I saw the trailer to this and I was like, there's some cute moments, but it's probably going to be bad. I just assume these movies are going to be bad at this point. And this movie was fantastic. Number one, the animation is beautiful. I was really impressed. There's elements of it that reminded me of Spider-Verse, just really unique animation style. The fact that they actually picked kids to play the Ninja Turtles really made it believable. The dialogue felt very realistic. To kids nowadays, they had very naturalistic reactions. Really liked the fight sequences in this. There's a lot of really great humor, and it was just a really immersive experience, and I just didn't want it to end. I loved all the characters. I had such a fun time with this, and I really hope they get to make a sequel. And I don't say that a lot for these types of movies, but it's a really fun time. So if you have any attachment to the Ninja Turtles, or you just love unique animation with really great performances, watch Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It was great. Up next is going to be the film No Hard Feelings, starring Jennifer Lawrence. I saw a lot of really bad reviews for this movie when it was first released, and when I saw the trailer, I wasn't 100% sold on it. I was like, it might end end up being a little too corny or might end up being really stupid. But I actually genuinely enjoyed this movie. I think Jennifer Lawrence was having a blast. It seemed like she was really committed to the role, and she was very funny in this movie. It has that like ridiculous slapstick comedy that it's trying to take it really far at moments, but I think it worked for the type of movie that it was. And it also had genuine heart. I thought the chemistry between her and the young kid was really great. The conversations that they have with each other, it was really interesting to see how much he played the adult comparatively to her, where she was kind of at a point in her life where she should be the grown up, but she's really not. And so I liked that relationship dynamic, and I think the way they explored it and the way they growed on it was really great. And it's not the most unique film in the world by any means, but I do think it's really enjoyable, and I also think it's really funny. And I hope Jennifer Lawrence does more comedies because she does a really great job with them. Up next is the film A Good Person from Zach Braff. This was another film that had really mixed reactions when it was first released, and with Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman being in this movie, I was hopeful it was going to be good, but my expectations were relatively low considering a lot of the really bad reviews that were released for it. And I thought this movie was beautiful. I thought that the relationship dynamics that were explored between these characters was really interesting. Both of them experiencing different forms of trauma in their past. Florence Pugh gave a phenomenal performance as per her usual. Morgan Freeman was the best he has been in years. There were a couple of moments that felt a little Hallmark melodrama-y, but for the most part, I think that the establishment of the characters and really just growing on each one of their stories that are really interesting and unique made for a really great watch. And I did not expect this movie to emotionally impact me the way that it did, but it really moved me, and I cried a few times watching this movie, which I did not expect. And if you're looking for a movie that will take you by surprise, I think A Good Person was really fantastic. Up next is going to be a horror movie that was released the same day as Barbie and Oppenheimer, and that is the film Cobweb, starring Lizzie Kaplan. This movie took me by surprise. It has great atmosphere, fantastic cinematography, incredible performances. It's really uncomfortable. The dynamics between the family in this are really strange and unsettling from the very first frame. I loved the interactions between these characters. I love the setting around Halloween. The house that they live in is so decrepit and disgusting. And it starts off going a direction that you think you know where the movie's going to go. And when the third act kind of blew up, I was really surprised. It got very violent, which is something I really appreciated. And yeah, there's just a lot I could praise about this movie. I do think the very end is a little bit rushed, and I was relatively unsatisfied with the ending of the film, but I think the whole buildup and everything surrounding it makes the movie a very worthwhile watch. Up next is going to be the film Hell House LLC Origins: The Carmichael Manor. I am an enormous fan of the original Hell House LLC movie. I thought it was brilliant, but the two films that followed it were not as great. I was actually underwhelmed by both of them. I didn't think that either one of them really lived up to the scare factor or the quality of the original Hell House LLC. And so because of that, I was kind of worried about this movie, honestly. I was worried it was going to fall into the same category as the two sequels, and I am happy to say it did not. This is on par, if not better than the original. I'm going to have to watch it again to really kind of cement my thoughts. It does everything that the original does that makes that movie so great. There aren't a bunch of jump scares in this movie. A lot of what scares you in this film is what Stephen Cognetti forces you to stare at, making your eyes linger on these shots that are really uncomfortable. This movie legitimately sent chills up my spine, which not a lot of horror movies do anymore. And I was very impressed by that. I think the quality of the performances is great. I really love the story and the lore of this new house that they went to go visit and how it ties into the Abaddon Hotel. It's a really fantastic film that if you're a fan of the original Hell House LLC, it is a must watch. Next is going to be the film Sanctuary, starring Margaret Qualley and Christopher Abbott. I love Christopher Abbott. I'm a huge fan of his. I always look forward to the movies that he's going to be in, but in the initial trailer, I wasn't 100% sure what to expect with this movie, and I watched it, and it was instantly one of my favorite films of the year. It's two brilliant performances combined in this one small space They're really the only people in the entire movie. Everything is about the dialogue between the two characters. It has romance, it has comedy, it has drama, it gets violent in moments. It's really kind of all over the place, but somehow the director manages to balance the tonality in a really immersive and unique viewing experience. One of the most unique films I've seen the entire year. And honestly, I didn't know much about Margaret Qualley before I watched this movie, but she was mesmerizing in this film. Her performance from the very beginning. I love Christopher Abbott, and he was great in this movie, but Margaret Qualley really stole the show. If you have not seen this movie yet, this is a must watch of the year, one of the best movies of the entire year, and I'm already excited to revisit it. And then last up, probably my biggest surprise of the year and one of my favorite movies of the year, The Holdovers from Alexander Payne. I am kind of hot and cold on Alexander Payne's filmography. I really loved Nebraska. I thought The Descendants was okay. I haven't seen all of his work, but knowing that he was involved beforehand didn't really like psych me out to see the movie. I love Paul Giamatti, so I was excited to see it for that reason, but I didn't really know what to expect with this film. And for the fact that I went in kind of just like, okay, this is going to be what it's going to be. Am I going to enjoy it? And it ended up being one of, if not my favorite movies of the entire year. Just blew me away. These are some of the best performances of the year from top to bottom. Everyone involved in this gives such an amazing, committed performance. The cinematography in this movie is breathtaking. It's hilarious in moments. It will pull at your heartstrings. I cried multiple times during this film. Just so beautiful and relatable and realistic. It's a perfect film for the holiday season that kind of juggles all the really complex emotions that come with this time of year. And I just didn't know what to expect with this movie, and it just exceeded every expectation I possibly could have had. I already am ready to watch this movie again. This is 100% a must-watch film of the year. So those were just some of the films that took me by surprise this year. What are some films you had little to no expectations for this year that really blew you away? Let me know in the comments. I would love to watch some of them if I haven't seen them and discuss those with you. I always have a good time doing that. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.